Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. Intro music plays, blah blah blah. Having a great time, but I don't have any of that. Um, if you're new to my channel, thanks for stopping in, Mr. Smith's Kitchen. At least that's what it'll be in another week when I have my birthday. Yay! So today, well, I thought we'd bake a cherry pie. It's pretty straightforward, kind of easy, depending on what route you take with your crust. So this recipe is Chris's recipe actually, and the filling itself is pretty straightforward. The pie crust, I'm actually, you have options with pie crust. I have a pie crust recipe a few videos back. We can try that. You can try that one, or you can just buy a store-bought one. It's completely up to you. Whatever you feel is in your wheelhouse. I'm actually trying a new pie crust recipe. It's one that comes with Chris's cherry pie filling recipe, and it's a flakier crust, where mine's a butter crust, and it's good for everything: pie fillings, pot pies, all that. This pie filling is a little flakier. It involves shortening and butter instead of just butter, and so we'll see how it turns out. It wasn't a whole lot different to make than the last one. I just added shortening, and I think it had a little more butter in it, which will help give it its flakiness. So anyhow, let's talk about the pie filling. I, as always, wrote down my ingredients list. I'm telling you, this has got very few ingredients to it to begin with. Let me adjust my light here so I can see a little better. It starts with 3 cans of tart cherries. So, tart cherries. They'll say so on the thing. Forgive the Kroger label. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for that or that. But you want 3 cans. These are 15-ounce cans of tart cherries. You want to know what they look like? They're right there. Now let's talk about, you can use fresh cherries, but they're hard to find. They're only in season for a little while. They're usually fairly expensive, and you have to pit them, get the seed out of them, cut the tops. It's a lot of work for fresh cherries. Canned cherries are just as acceptable. I'm learning that in the baking world when it comes to cherry pies. So what I had to do, real quick, well, let's go through the rest of the ingredients list because it's really easy. The next thing you're going to need is 1 1/4 cups of granulated sugar, coffee sugar as I like to call it, which that is 250 grams of sugar. I wrote down the grams for you. So 1 1/4 cups, 250 grams of sugar. You're going to need 4 tablespoons or 32 grams of cornstarch. You're going to need 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, which is literally 0.05 of a gram. And then you're going to need one, which you can't see this, it's clear almond extract. You need 1 gram or 1/4 teaspoon. That's it. That's all there is to it. So when it comes to the cherries, you need 1.5 can, you need the juice from 1.5 cans of cherries. All right, so you've got, which in this case turned out to be about 1 1/3 cups, of the juice. So, which, yeah, it'd be 1 1/3 cups because it gets you almost 2 cups. So you just want to take out 1/4 of that, which in this case is 1 1/3 or 0.66 of 2 cups. So, which is 1 1/3 cup. So you got your 1 1/3 cup of cherry juice. So let me get you down here to the oven top, and we'll. I'm just going to turn you down, and we'll go ahead and get our ingredients together. Because after you get your ingredients together, all we're going to do is put it into our pot, and you want a fairly heavy bottom pot because this can burn. And we're going to put our cherries in there. Oh, I did forget to mention because I forgot to do it. Go ahead and preheat your oven to 425 degrees. So we're at 425. We're preheating. We're going to turn our stovetop on. You want this on low because when you're when you're cooking this, when you're making this on the stovetop, you want to bring it to a slow boil. Okay, so all right. So we got our cherries in there. We're gonna add our sugar in there, cornstarch. Then we're going to add our salt and our almond extract. Yeah, the almond extract, I don't know why it's in there. I'm sure it's just to help balance. And then we're going to put our juice in there. We're going to mix this all together. And what we're looking to do is bring this to a slow boil and thicken it. Okay, that's all. We're just looking to thicken it. Now, you do have the option of taking your cornstarch, putting it in the juice first, and mixing it together and then pouring it in. The ingredients didn't say that, but I can imagine it would be a little easier. So this is going to boil for about, slow boil. Once it starts boiling, we're going to let it slow boil for about 10 minutes. And then it should be thickened up enough to go ahead and let it cool for a minute, and then we'll take it from there. All right, I'll see you here as soon as this thickens up. All right, guys, so we let it go on the stovetop. We cooked it down, it gelled up. Once it started boiling, I let it go for 10 minutes. And now we've got a nice thick sauce. So in the instructions, it tells you once it's hit its 10-minute mark, to pull it off the oven and just set it aside. So, and while it's setting, you're supposed to prepare your pie crust. Now, I prepared my pie crust prior to that. Here is our bottom crust, right here. Like I said, it's a new to me crust recipe. Chris had emailed me it. It's the entire cherry pie from start to finish. She emailed it to me, so it included the crust. And I thought, why not try a different crust? Like I said, I've never done a flaky crust. I've done a butter crust, which doesn't get quite as flaky. So I did this instead. So we brought our cherries to a boil, a low boil, very low boil. You don't want to take that bad boy over, just barely bubbling. If you you want to stir it, fairly consistent. If you don't, what happens is it starts to bubble and gel, and then all of a sudden you're getting it all over the place. And cherry pie filling is very sticky. It's a pain in the butt to clean up. So pay attention. You want to boil it. I did not do that. I've learned from watching other people in the past make jellies like that, and it boil everywhere. So stirring consistently, low boil, 10 minutes. It gels up. You let it sit to the side. Make your pie crust. Now remember, we set our oven at 425 degrees. All we have left to do is we're going to pour this pie filling into our pie crust, and we'll put our lattice on for there. And I'm going to try something different. If you remember with the blackberry pie, Chris flipped the lattice on top of it. I'm going to try laying it on it one at a time. And what I did was I took my top pie crust, I rolled it out, got it on parchment paper with flour underneath of it, and then I just cut lines into it. All right, I cut them into strips. That way we can lay it on top of it. So I'll go ahead and set that there. Once you do that, you want to keep, if you make homemade pie crust, you for sure want to keep it chilled. If you're not working with it, refrigerator. So we'll go ahead and get this pie filling put in here. You want to be careful not to let it splatter. It gets on you, it's going to burn. All right, so we got our cherry pie filling in there. Looking good. Oh, man, look at that. Doesn't that look fantastic? It's beautiful, red, full of cherries. All right, so now we're going to try and lattice this bad boy up. Take that and it might be a little too cold to work with. Oh. Cracked it. Now, Chris did tell me that she pre-does this on her cherry pies because it has a tendency to want to sink into the dough. So I may be making a colossal mistake. We'll find out. I mean, really, worst case scenario is I screwed it up, but I have a secret. I have another pie crust. I went ahead and made multiple pie crusts. That way, I knew I had one for later. Pie crust, you can refrigerate it, and it'll last a day or two. Because like this pie crust I made last night, and then, or you can freeze it. Freezing it works very well. All right. So, what I'm going to do is finish latticing this up, and when I come back, I'll show you what it looks like. We'll talk about the oven. All right, see you here in a minute. All right, so I got the lattice on there, and lesson learned. Chris is right. It is a lot easier to do that prior to. What happens is the dough actually warms up so quickly sitting on top of that fairly hot crust that it becomes almost unworkable. All right, so what I'm doing with this, per instructions, is putting on a egg wash. It's just the white of the egg, so I separated it from the yellow, and I'm putting it on the crust top, and then we will take a little bit of sugar and put it on top of that. Yeah, about a tablespoon and a half's worth of sugar, and this is just the egg white from one large egg that we're putting on here. And what's this is going to help give it a nice shine crust. If you don't want to use an egg white, you can use heavy cream also. That will help with it. You can also do this before you put it on the crust. Well, not if you flip it over, because then it'll be on the other side. But if you just lay the strips on, I don't know if you can tell from there, I did not weave the lattice. That just was not an option with the way it warmed the crust up. All right, so we got that on there. Now we need to grab our handy dandy thing of sugar. I know, biggest sugar container in the entire world. But when, I never understood the 10-pound bags of sugar that they sold at the grocery store until we started baking and cooking all the time from home. And you really do utilize a lot of sugar. Now by a lot, I guess it would depend on how much you bake and how much you cook. All right, so we got that done. So let's talk about what's next. As you may notice, I have this on a cookie sheet. I have parchment paper underneath of it because, like I said, pie filling gets very sticky, and I really don't want to get it all over my newer cookie sheet. So parchment paper, pie filling, or pie on top of that, and a cookie sheet. Let's talk about the oven for a minute. All right, so I'm going to put this in the oven, and then we'll talk. You want to put it, much like the blackberry pie, near the bottom rack. You want it in the bottom third of your oven at any rate, at 425 degrees. And according to the directions, we're going to bake this for 20 minutes on 425. When that 20 minutes is up, now we'll keep an eye on it because everybody's oven's different, right? We've talked about that before. It may not be 20 minutes, but according to the directions we are, then we're going to put this pie ring on it. And we're going to bake it for another 30 to 40 minutes at 375. So 15, 20 minutes, 20 minutes at 425. We'll turn it down to 375. We'll put our pie ring on it. Keep an eye on it though, because like we found out last week with the blackberry pie, it may not take that long. It may only take 10 minutes, and your crust may start to get a little too brown or start to brown up nice. Then you want pie ring and a foil top, right? Our purpose is to get that cherry pie filling to finish cooking down. So, when I come back, after we've done our 425 at 20 minutes and our 375 at 30 to 40 minutes, I'll take it out of the oven and we'll take a look at it. All right? I'll see you here in, well, a millisecond for you. It'll be 40 minutes for me, and we'll talk about what we do next. All right? See you here in a sec. All right, guys, we're back. I got the pie out of the oven. One thing I didn't tell you before we went and put it in the oven was you have to let it sit for at minimum 3 to 4 hours after it comes out. You want that to completely cool and for it to gel. You know, so that way it has that fruit pie filling like you get in fruit pies. So minimum 3 to 4 hours. This actually sat here for like probably closer to 6, 7. We got going on some other stuff, and I just let it sit and completely cool. It won't hurt to let it cool forever. It's actually a good next day pie if you're able to wait that long. So I pretty much followed the directions to a T. Here's how our pie turned out. It's got a nice golden crust about it. Now see right here where we got a little cherry on the pie crust itself. It bubbled up and over, and that's okay. But we did it at 425 to start, you know, for our first 20 minutes. I did, after 15 minutes, put a pie ring on it. Then we turned it down to 375, and we let it go for an additional 20, 30 minutes. Hold on, I'll tell you. Because like I said, I followed the recipe to a T. It was, yeah, an additional 30 minutes. We let it go for 30 minutes. After that, at 375, we pulled it out, put it on the pie rack, you know, the cooling rack here, took the pie ring off of it, and let it set. So now, we're going to give it a shot and see how it tastes. Hopefully, it turned out amazing. If it didn't, I'll let you know, because, I mean, I'm here, might as well tell you either way it goes. I won't lie to you, you know, that's for sure. If this recipe isn't all that, then it's not all that, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be, because I'm pretty sure this is the same recipe Chris uses to make pie with. Let me get a plate real quick. And as long as I did it right, because like I said, Chris has made this before, and I don't remember it ever being bad. So as long as I did right, it should turn out right. So we'll go ahead and get us a piece cut here and see. Get up underneath there a little bit. I got where the get up underneath that a little bit. I got where I cut where the it had bubbled over on the edge. And as we all know, the first piece is hard enough to get out as is. And I did the extra challenge of putting it in a well, I can tell you, in a deep dish pan, I am no good at dishing out cherries, because I didn't get the bottom of it. That's all right. That's all right. We're still going to give her a shot. Well, if I would have gotten down to the bottom of it, there's our cherry pie. Unfortunately, I destroyed it. But that's okay. You know why? Because we can still eat it. This is not for a pie baking contest. It is not for, I mean, it's not, you know, it's for us to eat and enjoy. So, you know, I think we'll be okay on it. But let's taste it and see how it tastes at any rate. Well, the only thing this is missing really is ice cream. And that's just because I didn't get any. Because That is one good taste of cherry pie. I'm not gonna lie. This has got the right amount of tartness. Sweet balances it nicely. I think it's pretty amazing. Try the recipe. Tell me what you think. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if it stinks. I mean, really. I would like the feedback in the conversation. It'd be nice to hear from, but let me know. All right? I like it. I think it's a keeper. So, I love you. Tell somebody else you love them. Make their day a whole lot better. All right? I'll talk to you later. Bye.